situation currently, it's lack of leadership. To be honest with you, there is no responsible leadership. There is currently the situation is in a dire situation where technocrats really run this town. Technocrats take decisions on behalf of the councillors, and once you know there's a history of Okahanja, whenever there are new councillors elected and then take up office, you would know that the technocrats inside the council, they're the ones influencing those councillors, and then they have a way to divide and rule the council. So this time around, when I will go in there, I will make sure that technocrats only there to carry out council instructions, you understand? Because some of the technocrats currently employed in the town council in Okahanja have been there for over 10 to 20 years. They are full-time employees, and either they perform or not perform, they will get their salary. So with us coming in there in November, we will make sure that we look at their employment conditions. We make sure that we bring in the performance management system in place so that we can hold them responsible, because whatever they do, they're still going to get their bonuses. They are full-time employees like government employees. That is the situation on the ground. Therefore, this time around, once we go in there, we will make sure that those in senior leadership will sign a 5-year contract, so in order for us to check their KPIs and stuff like that.
Okahanja is always in the news. There seems to be a lot of issues there. In terms of the issues of the town itself, away from council for a minute, what are the issues affecting the people of Okahanja?
I think the main issue is unemployment. Currently, we are sitting at least with 80% of unemployment. Hence, we also have, because of that, it affects also the development of the town. Because the unemployment situation that is currently on the ground make it very difficult for people to pay rates and taxes and services, and that's also make it also difficult for the council to implement some of the projects they have. Hence, also crime is also one of them, because crime, unemployment, they are linked, interlinked. Obviously, you have to break in someone's house in order to survive. So what the Promised Land Association really plans is to bring in skills development, training, create youth employment, bring in centers like TVEX colleges and stuff like that to Okahanja, because currently we don't have stuff like that. The only industry that is booming now is the nursing industry in Okahanja, where a lot of nursing colleges have popped up. What about boy child? You understand? So what we are looking at is to bring in development, we bring in training, sit down with local economic business clusters, business people, so that we can look a way, so that we can create more employment opportunity. You would know that Okahanja is situated at a very, very important, if you look at geographically on the map, Okahanja is in the central. Through Okahanja, you can reach the north, the south, the east, anywhere. So if you set up a company, like if you set up a company in Okahanja, logistic-wise, you would not need a lot. You will benefit from the logistic location that Okahanja is situated in itself.
It's easy, my brother Johannes, to say that once we come into office, we are going to set up, we are going to create jobs and whatnot. But once let's just get into details of that. How do you want to do that? How do you want to create jobs in Okahanja? I know you are correct that, I mean, what worries me about Okahanja as an outsider is that it used to be such a booming town.
Yes.
Growing up, I had a lot of uncles and relatives employed in Okahanja, working for different companies there. But lately, it's almost a dead town. Perhaps, I mean, we'll talk. I want to also engage you on that new road now that passes through. But even prior to that, there were already problems.
Yes, I mean, it's a lack of infrastructure development. You know that Okahanja currently sits with a lot of empty buildings, a lot of workshops, a lot of spaces that are unoccupied. I mean, there is Midco. I mean, the factory is sitting there idling, doing nothing with everything. So one will look at other ways, you understand, to attract investors.
Yeah.
There are a lot of buildings that are just there idling, especially if you look at the industrial area. You will find a lot of unoccupied buildings where those owners of those buildings, some of us, since when I started doing this research, we came to understand that some of those buildings, the owners own the town council a lot of rates and taxes. What we will do is we approach them and say, this is how much you owe. Can we not take this building for a certain amount? Because you owe us maybe around 1 million. So maybe the value of the building is maybe 4 million. Then we could negotiate and go into an agreement. So we can attract investors and said, we are sitting of the building. This is the building, we are giving you the lease. You just have to create employment for our youth in that side of a way, sort of a way, you understanding? So that is what we want to look at, attracting investors, like what is currently happening at Ramadex, you understand?
Yeah.
So we have also buildings like that in Okahanja, just sitting and idling. I think the better word is lack of advertising, lack of coordinating between the councillors and the previous owners of this building. But once we took over, we sit with all the information there. We will approach them. We will do a land auditing and also do infrastructure auditing to find out which buildings are just there idling. They are not paying rate and taxes and stuff like that. And then we will go into agreement and details. And then we will take those buildings, advertise them all over. This is the building. This is the size of this building. Whatever you want to invest, you are invited to Okahanja.
Yeah.
Yeah, that type of communication. Yes.
Yeah, I understand.
Hi everybody, we are at Biltong and Bites today. It is the National Biltong Day tomorrow on the 9th of September, so we thought we will line up some of Namibia's top chefs, ask them for their recipe for a bite, a chili bite. So we've got a lot of bites, but only one of them are chilies. So now we want more chili bite options. So we've invited the chefs, we are very proud to have them together. They spiced, we dried, and now we have a tasting today. So we hope to identify the best bite, and then we will add it to the Biltong and Bites menu as the chef's choice. So the number one bite that we just nominated now as the best is the Smoky Joe. And that was made for us by Chef Pedro Cesar from Droombos. Well done, congratulations. I think there's a profile of customer that will be interested in each and every single one of these bites. So definitely I think it will add value to the profile and the spread and the variety of bites in the Biltong and Bites shop.
I believe that's really a question that should be posed to government.
Yeah.
What we have in the hyphen contract is that's part of government's responsibility. I believe they started with a gap analysis. So we have existing legislation that can cover a lot of the areas for the development of green hydrogen projects, but there are some gaps. So it's looking at existing legislation, what do we need to amend, and what new legislation needs to be brought in order to enable the sector, more broadly speaking. Okay. So I believe that work is underway, but the particulars we would need to find out from government representatives.
Yeah. Coming back to Hyphen and the work you do as head of ESG, that's environment, social and governance.
Yes, right? That's right.
There's some skepticism in general. Some people are not quite sold on the green hydrogen initiative. And one of the main issues that's been brought to the fore most recently is the question of where are the jobs? Are the jobs coming?
The jobs are coming. We look, the Hyphen project again, we're looking at about a 10 billion euro investment.
Yes.
And that's what's so significant about the sector. The investment, the capital needs to flow in country, needs to come here. So we're creating the jobs locally.
Okay.
your audience may know that on the Hyphen project, we're estimating about 15,000 people to be employed during the construction phase
Yes.
and 3,000 during the operations phase. So we're doing an assessment, a detailed assessment, where we are double checking or checking, verifying whether that's the exact number. Maybe it could be more or less, but we're building a workforce competency and planning model to determine how many we need, who are they, what skill and competency level should be attached to those jobs, and at what point in the project implementation and operation do we need to place them. So that's a significant piece of work that's underway. I know at industry level, the Namibia Green Hydrogen Association, the Green Hydrogen Program, is doing similar work. I think what is critical as we develop the sector and we talk about skills development and employment is that we're realistic about what's achievable in the short term and the medium term. If we want to build a sustainable sector, we should be looking at what are the jobs that are high in number because we have an unemployment issue that we should prioritize. There are hundreds of new professions that will emerge from the green hydrogen value chain. And as Namibia, I think we need to be realistic and prioritize very carefully. So it's jobs that are high in numbers, it's jobs that are meaningful, and are, in my view, low to medium level in terms of their specialization.
Okay.
So that we can train quickly, because these projects are massive.
Yeah.
So it's time and scale, but we should not try and localize jobs for the sake of localizing and put projects such as Hyphen and others in jeopardy. So the answer should be, if we cannot place you today, it's not no, it's just not yet.
Okay. I see.
These are highly, highly specialized. We have hundreds of welders, but they don't have the requisite specialization. So amongst those jobs that kind of fit into the category that I just described are welders, for instance. But they need to be trained in specific codes. We have the logistics component will be massive in terms of, if you just think of wind turbine wind turbines to be imported, we will have between 500 and 600 wind turbines. For every turbine, you have at least 5 tower sections that needs to be moved. You have 3 blades and you have a nacelle. So you do the math in terms of 500 and 600, how many specialized transportation drivers you require just on that component. So wind turbine service technicians, again, because we'll have so many to install, solar technicians. So those are low to medium level specializations that we can train in high numbers that can support not just the Hyphen project. And remember, we're the Catalyst project, because people also ask, yes, but 15,000 temporary jobs, that is the nature of construction, right? If governments, when government, because the rollout of the strategy basically suggests that government will then be allocating further tenders in the SCDI beyond the Hyphen project as soon as we get to FID. And that allows for that rolling of the jobs that we begin to create for Hyphen to be placed in future projects.
So somebody who is installing solar panels at Hyphen,
Yes.
once that's finished, they should be installing solar panels in the next project.
That's it.
And the next project.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me, for instance, if we look at the renewable energy that you'll be generating, it's huge amounts, gigawatt scale, and there'll be excess energy at certain phases, and the idea was always that excess energy will then benefit the country as a whole.
Yeah.
But there needs to be provision made to wield that energy, and there needs to be, let me say that the excess, the use of the excess needs to be planned in. Is that in the nature of the development of the industry in Namibia at the moment? Is it planned in that what can benefit the nation now will benefit the nation now?
So I can't speak broadly to kind of what other projects have installed, or in fact like an overarching policy that government has in mind to govern the sector. What I can say is in the Hyphen contract, we specifically included that as a commitment to investigate together with NamPower as the utility, national utility that is responsible and has authority over that. So we've said there will be excess power, and it's a matter of sitting down and working out how much power, what's the profile that NamPower would want the power in, when does it want it. There is additional grid that needs to be built.
Yes.
So you basically have the hyphen or so-called project grid that is a standalone, and you'd need to connect that to the national grid. So what does all of that look like? So it needs to make technically it has to be a sound solution that works for both the project but also NamPower, and then it needs to economically make sense in terms of the building of that additional infrastructure. And that is a process that's underway already. That has started between the Hyphen technical team and NamPower. They've been exploring that already for a number of months.
That's why, in fact, the Global Gateway is a success story, seen in Europe and getting more visibility well beyond Namibia, because we've been able and successful as Team Europe, so that means public money from the EU, but also from our 27 members, some of our 27 member states, together with development banks like the European Investment Bank. We've been able to mobilize 1 billion euros, which is 20 billion Namibian dollars. And with this public money, grants and loans, we will be able to leverage 20 times private investments. So this is quite unusual in Global Gateway. This is precisely what we want to do. So to find means to create an environment as for private investors, creating an environment that attracts investors and where they realize there's a business case for them. And this is a case in Namibia, and the business case in Namibia and the green industrialization is so compelling that in fact we're seeing 20 times private investments in the pipeline for different, in particular green hydrogen projects, pilot project at different degrees of maturity.
That's incredible. That's incredible. But let me ask you this. You know, the world is changing, and there's a lot of rhetoric now. It seems that multilateralism is not as popular as it was before. I wanted to know, Europeans, the average European normal person, how do they feel about public money being spent halfway across the world?
There needs to, well, people do realize the need to support countries, and they do realize the importance of stability.
Yes.
And development, prosperity is stability. And that's why I think generally people do realize, of course, in Europe, people are also struggling. We see increasingly struggles, in particular of youth, in view of the increasing cost of living. People are struggling to find houses, very much like here, in fact. Yes. So we have very similar struggles, also in finding good quality jobs. But people do realize the importance of also sharing the benefits and the prosperity that is being created in Europe in order to contribute to stability and prosperity. And well, this partnership we have with Namibia, it is to benefit Namibia, create jobs for the youth, but it also benefits us. There's a very important, important factor in this relationship that is relevant for Europe, notably to diversify our sources of energy. Mm-hmm. So we have a partnership like Namibia, like we have with other countries on green energy, like in Kenya, Egypt, Morocco, and other countries. So we need to diversify our energy sources and look for ways to decarbonize our economy. And this is where our interests and the interests of Namibia come together, because Namibia has realized the opportunities of being ahead of the curve and decarbonizing, helping other economies to decarbonize, while developing its own green industrialization potential that will bring new jobs, quality jobs, new skills to use. So it's a win-win agenda that we have, and that is something that resonates with European citizens.
Awesome, awesome. And I think that if we look at the projects that were visited last week, some of them are really examples of that. The one that I mentioned earlier was the official opening of the Clenergy plant, where they produce green hydrogen to make ammonia to fuel ships, and also to export the ammonia to Europe and South Africa, I believe. That's a partnership between our ONL and a Belgian company, CMB Tech. Yeah. So I want to find out, do you think there are other as yet unexplored business partnerships like that that can come to fruition in the foreseeable future?
I think that Namibia has a tremendous potential, especially in the green energy sector. And examples like the one you mentioned of Clenergy, of High Iron, are a demonstration that green hydrogen is not a matter of the future, but a matter of the present, and that it's actually making a difference. In High Iron, for instance, 600 local jobs were created, and 60 NGOs were developed as part of the construction, in Clenergy as well. So investors will look to Namibia as a stable environment, and obviously as these enterprises unfold and grow, the environment around it, with the creation of a regulatory framework that is underway now, if that stabilizes, I think that will indeed attract more investments, and possibly also enterprises that are Namibian owned. Dauris, for instance, which is an entirely Namibian project. So green hydrogen is not only about a EU-Namibia partnership. There's also Namibians who see the advantage and who are invested and successful in developing these technologies, and indeed the market for green ammonia or other derivatives from green hydrogen are far larger than Europe, because all large economies in the world need to decarbonize if we want to tackle the challenges of climate change.
Certainly sounds interesting, and one wonders if for Lazarus Chakwera it's back to the pulpit. But we also have to just ask this question. It's 4 years from an 86-year-old man. How much transformation can we really get out of Mutharika, or is the goal stability?
We are anxious to see how he is going to continue from the infrastructure foundation that Lazarus Chakwera and Mara Congress Party has done in the 5 years ending. Yes, they have performed really badly on the social side of life, but they have done really well compared to the past maybe all multi-party presidents in the country. These guys have done really well. Lilongwe has seen an uplift in the kind of roads. Mutharika left the roads in the capital city tattered, full of potholes. Chakwera has managed to upgrade all of them. We have 6-lane highways in the city, and most of them are dual carriage ways. We were not dreaming about that one. And then the Chakwera government is implementing construction agreements that were actually signed during Mutharika's time in 2015, 2017, but nothing happened on the ground. He came, picked it up, and the work is being done. 40% of renovating and upgrading the M1 north-south highway from Lilongwe, going up as far as the northern region, around 200 kilometers, 300 something kilometers from Lilongwe going northwards. Okay. And then there is another critical road infrastructure, the M5 or Electoral Road. This was touted under Bingu Mutharika's time as part of the Mtwara corridor, where he was dreaming of constructing a road network from the Tanzanian side on the Indian Ocean up to a port Tanzania would build on the eastern side of Lake Malawi, and then the ships would come to Ngata Bay, and from there connect to the road going downwards, southwards to Blantyre and surrounding areas, and then to Mzuzu and the northern region. That road is also being refurbished. And then we have the key railway line. So for the first time since 1994, government paid attention to a transport system. You cannot develop economically without a vibrant railway system. Chakwera managed to restore that one.
All right.
So those projects are still ongoing, and we are going to see how Mutharika, who ignored them, is going to continue from where Chakwera is living now.
All right.